Hello everyone and welcome to Soul Show. My name is Soul and today we are reviewing Uncharted, the movie. The movie that I swear to God was set to go into production like a decade ago, but with Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake. And that was like controversial enough, but now he's solely Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Hollywood's weird, man. And one of the weird things it likes to do is pluck IPs, pluck existing franchises, and put them in the movie format, even if it has no business going into that format. Uncharted being one of them. Uncharted, I have a fondness for, but I'm not like an Uncharted stan or anything. I played all the games minus the Vita game, and I enjoyed them all. I loved the last three even. That being said, though, I don't think I am such an Uncharted fan that, like, when I saw Nathan Drake as Tom Holland that I flipped out, but it did have this, like, uncanny valley vibe, and I never really got over that. Even after I walked out of the film, it just feels weird. And I'm sure this is how it is for a lot of franchises that get adapted, and, like, some people are just like, this isn't the thing I like, but it's called the thing I liked and it's being dressed up as the thing I like, but it doesn't feel like it. And you know, people who aren't familiar with Uncharted, this is just another national treasure. It's just another mummy film. It's just another exploration, discovery, one of those, right? And I can't fault it for being that because it is actually a pretty fun action adventure film with light, fun banter and all the other things you can expect. And it has a giant budget, giant action set pieces. But underneath that, it's supposed to be Uncharted. And it doesn't really feel like it. Which is weird because Uncharted is like the easiest film to turn into a movie ever. It literally is a video game movie. It is a movie that you operate in between cutscenes. And I would say Uncharted has a good story, but the story and the gameplay are so seamless that it's because of the gameplay that the story is so good. If you just take the cutscenes from that game and put it into a movie, it still isn't really a good movie. It's really one of those questions like, why does this movie exist? This could have just been a film without the IP. It could have just been Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg being themselves because that's what they're doing anyway. And it could have just been its own thing. But no, it has to be Uncharted because we have to pander to somebody. We have to find an audience somewhere. We don't like watching new things anymore. We have to watch things that remind us of other things, and we get Tom Holland, which, keep in mind, Tom Holland's great. I love Tom Holland, and we might as well start saying he's the best actor of all time now, because within like 20 years he's going to be the main star of like 30 different franchises. He's still probably going to be doing the stunts and all these other talented things he's good at. We might as well say he's a great actor now because he's probably going to win a bunch of awards and do all these things in the future. We might as well say he's great now. And in this film, he's good at doing the same shtick he did in Spider-Man. Sure, he's a little bulkier. Sure, he's, in New York City being a bartender. But it still feels like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but now just dressed as Nathan Drake. Never once did I really feel like Nathan Drake was on the screen. Never once did I feel like Sully was on the screen, which Sully as Mark Wahlberg, or Mark Wahlberg as Sully, I should say, makes absolutely no sense. It's like we had him on the books to be in the movie, so he's still got to be in the movie, and it feels so weird and wrong. But if you took away his name and just like made him a random character, then he's fine. He's not like the star of the film or anything. If anything, Chloe is like the sex icon that she was in the second game, before like she kind of became the main character of the spin-off. And like in Nathan Drake's eyes, she's still like this sex symbol. She's sexy. She's like this really campy, fun, adventurous character. But when we got to play as her, it was like, oh no, that was kind of more from Nathan's perspective. And we're kind of going back to that now, but with Tom Holland, and they have like not a very developed chemistry. But I'll give my praises for this film. I did like this film. And it's because it has a lot of big dumb action set pieces with a big ass budget, fun quirky characters. I'm sure Tom Holland's going to be playing this guy for like the next 5 years at least. And it's gonna make a bunch of money. There are certain aspects of the bad guys I like. The girl from You was really interesting. They don't exist in the games. They made up their own bad guys, which I thought was actually really cool. They took certain parts from the games, like Chloe's in the second game, Sam, his brother, is in the fourth game, but they kind of try to squeeze as much lore and character bits from all the games into this like prequel, which feels, again, weird, but I think that could have really worked. It kind of does. But there's some questions I really got to ask, like Tom Holland, Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake is stealing stuff at the beginning of this movie, and it's supposed to be like, oh, he's an asshole. And then he turns around and he's like, actually, I'm the crusader of virtue, and I tell you what's morally wrong and right in this film, and betraying someone who's stealing things with you is wrong, but me just stealing in general is okay. That's weird. The fact that half of this film takes place next to like modern day cities is weird, because they're going into these tombs and these crypts, and then literally on the other side of it, it's a fucking Papa John's. Like, I remember in the games, you would find these abandoned locations and unearth them, and then you have to do these wild fucking platformer puzzles that lead one step into another, and then it's not here, and then you gotta go to another location. It's this never-ending spiral of discovery and adventure, and instead Tom Holland's just next to a fucking Papa John's. What? Literally, the secrets of a fortune worth billions and Papa John's are right next to each other. But there is that part of my brain that was like, hey, they kind of respected the source material. They had Nolan North in this film. Great cameo. Little on the nose, but little things like that I appreciate. There's little bits in here that I was like, oh, they actually nodded at the games. There was like this little Naughty Dog sticker on his little box and little things like that. I was like, hey, Uncharted, man, they're getting a big film. This is what it's all about. And then it just turns around and does what Hollywood always does, and not give a fuck about its script, not give a fuck about what it's ripping on, and just winging whatever they want to do. And they want to push an action-adventure series with Tom Holland for like the next 5 years, and they gotta have Marky Mark on it, so they gotta have him in there. And it just didn't need to be Uncharted, and that's probably my biggest criticism of it. And again, I am completely open to interpretations of my franchise. I am completely open to doing new things with existing franchises. But when you have a video game that's practically an adventure film being turned into an adventure film, and I'd rather just be playing the adventure film game, and the film feels like an alright film, like under its own narrative, but like pretending to be this other narrative, and all of that just made me feel conflicted. Like Sonic the Hedgehog completely flips its fucking story, but it still somehow feels like Sonic. Detective Pikachu doesn't give a shit about Pokemon's story, but it still feels like a Pokemon movie. And that's because they took different liberties and turned it into its own thing, but respected the source material, whereas Uncharted feels like it's trying to pander to that audience while also slapping that audience in the face. And I don't want this review just to turn into the remake versus the original kind of thing. The film itself, again, is a fun popcorn movie, but it's not going to be a film that you're going to rewatch or come back to over the years. It was perfectly good, not great. But even if these were completely new characters, I don't think I would care about them, because half the time they're betraying each other, half the time their backstories aren't that fleshed out. I still don't know that much about Sully. I still don't know that much about Chloe. And the things I know about Nathan are just poor versions of his video game counterpart. All in all, it's a fine film. Not a very good Uncharted film. So Uncharted kind of dropped the ball, but also made just another Hollywood film. I'm gonna give Uncharted a 7 out of 10. Again, I don't think I'm gonna watch it ever again, but it was serviceable enough. Kind of upset me as an Uncharted fan, and it made me go into a weird thought spiral of Hollywood and what it does with content and IPs, and it's not going to get any better, so we might as well get used to it. But thank you for watching as always. If you enjoy film reviews, this channel is full of them, so hit that subscribe button, and until next time, with that, I leave you.